everybody, Zeidoktor here, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is going to be dedicated to Attack on Titan, Chapter 90, To the Other Side of the Wall. Title like that, you definitely know there's something big coming on here, but for now, we're kind of picking up from where the last chapter left off, with the higher-ups basically debating amongst themselves whether or not to make the finding of their expedition public knowledge. And there's some worry that if they do that, that'll cause the public to fall into chaos. Like they don't know what the size of what's going on here. But that's Pixis, if I remember right. It's like, so what? We just deceive the people again? We keep the people like ignorant and domesticated, just like King Rice did? If that's the case, what cause were we fighting for when we snatched the crown from his head? That seems to sweat them because at that point, the story says that they will make an announcement. We were restoring the memories King Rice took from the people a century ago. Back to the people a century later. That's all. We are all the peoples of the walls. We have a shared fate. We must now unite as one and work together. And so we get a little montage on the next page of people reading about this in the papers and going over bulletins and announcements. And we get the whole thing like with Levi and a few other people talking. The newspaper guys, like those man-eating titans that menace humanity so are in fact humans. Subject of Ymir, a race with whom we share a common ancestry, etc., etc. Just kind of a recap of what we know already and what's been given to the public. And including the fact that their enemies may begin an invasion of their land in the near future under the pretext of acquiring its resources. And the attacks that began 5 years ago by the Colossus and Titan and others were part of that. It's out in circulation, but would you vouch for that story's authenticity? And Andre notes that at the very least it matches up with her own questions and doubts. And when she asks what the reaction is, like, it's mixed. Some are simply accepting it, some are letting out a laugh, some who still object to military rule are coming up with conspiracies to spread and being very unsubtle about it. Seriously, they're wearing black suits and whispering to each other in a bar. I mean, holy crap, dude. Do the walls not have the concept of spy fiction? Okay, maybe they don't actually. And just as was feared at that meeting, like people are kind of confused. But it couldn't be helped. As Sanji knows, they make their living reporting their surveys. They let the taxpayers decide what to do with that info. And that's where we're at least doing better than the old king. Newspaper guys, like as a fellow worker and someone who lives inside the same walls, I'm very proud of you all. Yeah, so maybe next article you can put the Survey Corps in a good light. There's a smile, but he doesn't actually say yes, but it's like, what's going to happen to us next? We looked at Titans with fear, with hate, and with the wish in their hearts that they would vanish from the world, but similarly, people around the world have seen us not as humans, but as harmful monstrosities. And that means we'll have to experience hell again. And we see the man's like hands are trembling at the idea. Just won't never end until they're annihilated. And we're having a bit of a meeting or ceremony or something in the big hall here. We're seeing hits from the other military corps coming in. The girlfriend of one of the guys who died in the last fight. And she's there to see everybody get their medals. I did play a big role in this revolution, you know. And one guy's telling her Marlowe stayed behind till the end. Yeah. And he's like, right, Flock? Tell her. Yeah. Marlowe Frodenberg was a fresh emergency recruit just like me, but regardless, he did a good job unifying us. It seemed hopeless out there. Survey Corps on the verge of being wiped out. Even when we were all terrified to the point of being useless, he was the one guy who never stopped encouraging the rest. He was amazing. I know. And Hitch was like, I know. I think that's why he never listened to a word I said. Of course, then the guy goes that one step a little too far. It's like, but in the end, he must have regretted ever going there. It's like, thanks, I'll be the one laughing if any of you mess up the ceremony. What's why they start getting in this case, like, hey, why the hell did you go and say that? But someone has to tell the truth, right? I mean, and Armin notes that he's aware that the guy who desperately wants to revive Commander Irwin. And that's right, I thought the commander was the right choice, not you. But I wasn't the only one. It's not all of us. It's what everyone thought reading the report. They wondered why it wasn't Irwin. At which point, Aaron gets mad, like, what do you know about Armin? Come on, tell me. I don't know anything. I'm not his childhood friend. I'm not his friend at all. But I do know why Armin was picked. because you two and Captain Levi allowed your personal feelings to get the better of you, took the injection for yourselves, and made an irrational decision. In other words, you couldn't throw away what's important to you, right? Aaron gets mad at this point. I think it's time for you to shut up. Aaron, I bet deep down inside you must always think that you're in the right. That's why you never gave up. Like a little kid who won't listen to reason. It's fine, Aaron. Like Mikasa's like, it's fine, let it go. At least you acted more of an adult in there, Mikasa. You gave up in the end. At which point Mikasa actually takes her hand off of Aaron's shoulder. Or is the arm reaching out to her? I don't know. That or the other guy just hey, getting between them like, Flock, do you understand we're about to hold a memorial for our fallen comrades? Why are you dressing up something that's already in the past? No, it's Connie and the other guys here. And it's like, you guys didn't defy your superiors. You didn't even try to stop Aaron and Mikasa either. You just stood by and watched. Medals for what? Memorial for who? Better tell the truth to the Survey Corps recruits coming to fill the ranks, otherwise you're going to have cowards like me joining you by accident. What are you planning on doing now without Commander Irwin? You might be nothing more than fodder. I'm sure my only purpose is to be expendable, but even a piece of fodder should at least have the right to assess the situation. Norman acknowledged that Flock is right. Irwin should have survived. If there's anyone who can get us out of the situation, it's not me. And Aaron's like, what makes you so sure of that? I don't know what the right choice is. How can anyone know the future? And anyway, did you see it already? What's beyond the walls? What's past the walls? At which point Armin looks up and says the ocean. That's right, the ocean. But you haven't seen it yet, have you? We still don't know a thing. Flaming water, frozen plains, snowfields on sand. There's an endless number of possibilities. I think on the other side of the walls, there's freedom. But even as he says that, he's getting the glimpse of memory from Chris's little sister getting eaten by dogs. Like, not a pleasant sight. Which when Levi's like, hey, brats, it's time, line up. It's at this point in Historia as they're giving them their medals. And Aaron's thinking to himself, what was it we found in the basement? Hope? Despair? Our enemy was more powerful than we could ever have imagined. And that calamity is only going to repeat itself if nothing changes. And Aaron's thinking that he'd be happy to devote his life if he knew doing so would change something, but he's not. He's not prepared to sacrifice Historia. He thinks, what should I do? I can't tell anyone about. And as he's touching her and kissing her hand as part of the ceremony, he's getting a glimpse of the past of someone approaching them. I'm an Eldian. I've come from beyond the walls. I, like you, am a subject of Ymir. And before the people of the walls are eaten, King of the Walls, please, you must kill the Titans attacking the walls at once, before my wife, my children. Okay, this is like when he's attacking. This is when he's approaching the Rice family before. But at this point, we see Frida, and she's kind of like looking on somewhat emotionlessly, and then that's just kind of where things kick off. There, we're back in the present. Aaron's not quite sure just what happened. Then we get some narration that the giant hammer used to smash Titans went silent as the snow began to cover the ground. Around the time it began to melt, the announcement was made that the Corps had rid the area inside Wall Maria of Titans. By the time that Cross District's elevators were freed for use and work began on paving the main roads, flowers began to bloom and butterflies danced. So in other words, we're kind of getting a time skip. About a year after the attack on the Cross District, citizens based in Singansina District received permission to resettle. For the first time in 6 years, the day had come for the Survey Corps to hold an expedition beyond Wall Maria. And as they're doing this, they're saying that just as Hanji predicted, the Titans inside Wall Maria were just about all of them. Looks like we called most of them in only a year. So now that they've done that, they can head to their objective. As they're doing so, a flare goes up, warning that one finally showed up, so be careful. And they see one kind of like hobbling along like this big giant one with flimsy limbs, sort of like the King Titan. And we see that it's actually been dragging itself along for a long period of time. And they realize that's someone that's been sent to Utopia. They're close. And then they finally come to like the final wall, like the end of it. Like, this is where the Eldians were turned into Titans, just past there. And thus, our heroes finally get their first glimpse of the ocean. It's a sight we've been looking at for a long time, and we're finally here. Some of them are just sitting there staring at the water. Some of them are actually playing in the water, actually trying to drink it, like, it's salty. And Armor's like, see, told you, Aaron. Giant saltwater lake so big that a merchant could spend his whole life collecting its salt and still not get it all. That's what I said, and I was right, huh? Yep. And they're just kind of marveling at how big it is and kind of screwing around in it. On the other side of the walls is the ocean, and on the other side of the ocean is freedom. That's what I always believed. But Aaron knows that he was wrong. It's enemies that are on the other side of the ocean. This is all exactly as I saw in my old man's memories. Right, those enemies on the other side of here. If we kill them all, does that mean we'll be free? And we get our final little tagline of a hand holding a seashell. It's like, of Armin's hand holding a seashell. It's like, that glittering time of carefree dreams has already come to an end. And that is indeed where the chapter ends. And woo. I think we can call it kind of like the close of this whole arc here at this point. Like at this point, I think we've gotten everything that the series kind of set up in the early stages. Like we've got the Titans dealt with, we got them to the ocean, we know what the Titans are, but now we have a whole big new thing, like the whole Secrets of Ymir, the whole Marley Empire, assuming it's still alive and kicking, which I think we can, unless something happened within the 6 years that those Titans came up here. Actually, that's gives me a thought just right now. It's like, because we know Annie, Bertolt, Reiner, and what's the last guy, Martel, the one at Ymir ate. They all came here at that 6-year period, like when the Colossus Titan first appeared. Did the Beast Titan come at the same time, or did he come later? Because I know we didn't see him till later, but does that indicate like when he actually came? Now I don't know. I'm kind of curious about that. Still, like I said, one thing I noticed as well, like in this case, it was a trope in the making from like chapter 1, but we have like everybody like standing over a 2-page spread of seeing the ocean for the first time. Like that's just like a common anime manga trope, I think. But here, I think it's like deserved. Like it's got its place. So I'm not going to quibble beyond just noting it. I do like how they started out with them like actually saying, yeah, we need to make this public. Like we need to do better than the old guys did, than the old guard did. Right? They kept the stuff hidden. We are not going to do that. So that was a nice thing to have. And that's that Historia actually is like doing some queening here. Like she's not just being purely a figurehead. I mean, because and like I said, I said before, like this is kind of like the end of this big section of story here because the Titans are pretty much gone when you think about it. Because by the sound of it, like because of how Titans work, obviously they were instinctively drawn to where people were. And so pretty much the majority of them, like almost all of them, appears to have been inside Wall Maria. So like they pretty much spend all the time exterminating them. So we are in kind of a big old what now situation though, because for starters, our guys cannot go after Marley, at least not anytime soon. Simple reason for that being that they don't have a concept of ocean travel or navigation. I mean, hell, until like the less than about half a decade ago, they didn't even have a concept of ocean. So, how much sailing know-how can they possibly truly have? I mean, outside of maybe like whatever maps Grissom might have had. So I think right now the next big story point is going to be focusing on maybe Aaron like discovering what he can about Historia and the whole control of the founding Titan thing. Because as we saw, that does definitely happen whenever he's in physical contact with someone in the royal family. Whether it was Dina Fritz, the Smiling Titan, or Historia now. I wonder if because like, so nearly a year or so has gone by here. So have we, or at the very least, the seasons have changed a couple times. Has Aaron told the others about this stuff yet? What he thinks, what he wonders. But story-wise, I'm predicting that will be our next point, possibly, and then probably we'll start seeing more of Marley kind of coming around here too. Question is, what can they do against Marley? Because the place is like very technologically advanced, so they'll be able to like mow down about whatever they've got. So either they've got to have enough Titans to make the difference, or or at least if not win, last long enough that their resources won't let them like keep going. I think at this point as well, like the next big mystery is going to be just what was Emir and what were the Eldians. Like, are they truly the demons that the Marleyans see them as? Were they the heroic figures that Grissa tried to sell them as? Where in the middle do they fall somewhere in the middle, one direction or the other? Yeah, not quite. Can't even begin to guess where that's going to go. But like I said, I think at this point, the actual main crux of the story is probably going to focus on Historia again, trying to delve into the past and just what brings these things about. That's my guess, at any rate. Right. For now, I'm going to go ahead and call it a review here. Like I said, I'm sure there's plenty here I didn't even like get into or even begin to think about touching on. So, if you want to throw it in there, like I said, I'll throw a comment in there. I'll either comment back or maybe throw something into the next review or somewhere along the way. I don't quite know what I'll do yet. Depends on what kind of response there is, if any. Excuse me. For now, that's going to be the review of Attack on Titan Chapter 90, To the Other Side of the Wall. This week we also have the usual My Hero Academia and One Piece to look forward to. I think we're coming up on a break time for One Piece, so I might be working out what next to do for my Under the Radar segment. I'm going to try and maybe figure out a good manga to use for that one next time. Maybe something a little lengthier than just that little Prison Princess one-shot I did. But we'll see. For now, though, until next time, I'll see you later, and bye-bye.